Hello, I'm back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a very quick look at the weather next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, it's going to be staying very cool for the rest of July. We may be seeing signs of a bit of a warm-up as we go through into the start of August. Not really sure how long it's going to last. I think overall we're staying in a fairly Atlantic-driven pattern into August. But may just turn the wind directions from sort of a northwesterly into more of a south-southwesterly, which could drag up some warmer air. We certainly need it because it's been very unusually cool over the past few days, with many places experiencing their coolest late July days since, well, in Coventry, I know it was the coolest late July day since 1978 on Friday, and it may have been even cooler in some places across the country yesterday, so it's been very inclement. And the push-up in temperatures, I think a lot of us will be welcoming that, although not everybody likes warmth, of course, as we go through to the start of August. Well, before we get on with that, just a quick say about the ads. This leads to articles on the pages at gasservices.com. Have a browse through the widgets. Any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You'll be able to go read the article. Thanks so much for doing that. This video adds most page. They open up in the content when you watch them, they'll close back up again. So let's quickly start off with sensing temperature from Hadley. This has been dropping like a stone over the past few days. Provisionally, we're currently standing at 16.5 degrees, which is an anomaly of just half a degree above average now. Now you remember right at the start of the month that was something like 25 degrees for the first day. So it's been very gradually dropping throughout the whole of the month from that very high point that we started off at with the heat of the 1st of July. I mean, generally downwards all the way since then. And in the last few days, that downwards trend has sort of been accelerating. So whether we do actually finish up a little bit below average once we get to the end of the month, we could do, believe it or not. So that very hot temperature and high anomaly that we had right at the start of the month, I think it was around 8 or 9 degrees, something like that, above average in terms of the anomaly. Despite that, by the time we get through the end of the month, we could actually finish up ever so slightly cooler than the 61 to 1990 average. So it's been a very odd month this July, starting off really hot and ending up, well, let's just say very cool, and leave it at that. Right, these are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts for the next 8 to 10 days. These will be taking us into August. We'll be going into August with this. We've got the ECMWF on the left and the GFS is on the right. As you know, 500 millibars is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure, low pressure being moved around by the jet stream. Blue extrapolates to low pressure and red extrapolates to high pressure. We can see that we've got a trough of low pressure on both of these models to the north of the country in 8 to 10 days time. So I'd say this takes us through the first week of August. The jet stream's going to the south as well, rather like that, so it's still pretty unsettled. The only saving grace really is that heights are building a little bit to the south, so it does mean that for southern parts of the country we're protected somewhat from this Atlantic flow. So I don't think we'll have sort of deluge rain that we have over the past couple of days, and temperatures should be a bit warmer as well, but overall that is still an unsettled and Atlantic driven type pattern going into the first week of August. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. Dealing with temperatures first of all, obviously we're solidly below average at the moment. We're going to be staying that way through the rest of the week. This is the 1st of August just here, Saturday the 1st, and yeah, it's solidly below average at the start of August. Now, as we go through into the first week of August, through this period here, we are seeing a push up in the temperatures, so I think we will drag up some somewhat warmer air to the south of the country. I don't think we ought to be running away with the idea it's going to be a heat wave necessarily, although we could see temperatures going up down sort of 27, 28 degrees down in the southeast, perhaps. That is into the 80s Fahrenheit. Just for a day or two, somewhere around the end of the weekend and into the start of next week. That does look like quite a brief push-up in the temperatures, though, because from around the 6th, 7th of August onwards, they're beginning to drop away again, once again. So I think it'll be a few days of warmer weather, but not necessarily lasting all that long. And even within this period, when we could get some warmer conditions. There is quite a bit of scatter actually, so even there things may not actually pan out quite as it looks like it will at the moment. I think we will push temperatures up a bit for a time in the first week of August. Down in the south, precipitation spikes are still there, less so than we've had recently, so it won't be as unsettled as it has been, but I think we will still be bringing through showery bands of rain to the south and the east, and up to the north and west. Actually, it could be more unsettled than this indicates. It goes very wet right at the very end of the chart, which is around the 11th, 12th of August, but that's too far away to worry about. Temperature anomaly for the coming week is still below average, because this is taking into account, of course, the cool weather that we've got up to the end of July. So from the 27th of July through to the 4th of August, we're still in these blue colours, indicating cooler than average temperatures. This will probably go more towards redder colours as we go through this week. As the first week of August comes into this time frame and we lose the last week of July, I think this will tend to warm up a little bit, so it may go above average slightly over the next few days. We'll keep an eye on it. The precipitation anomaly shows out a bit of a north-south split setting up again. So the north comes out wetter than average, the south comes out a bit drier than average again. That's because we've got this ridge down to the south, which will just protect the south, I think, from the worst of the weather, but it still looks pretty unsettled and potentially quite grim actually up in the north. So here's the Arctic pressure chart from the GFS first of all. This is for Saturday the 1st of August, and it's low pressure up to the north and west of the country, and we'll be bringing in showers, longer spells of rain about. High pressure ridging relatively close to the south will probably keep the south protected as we go through the weekend. Notice all of this yellow up here over Greenland. That's quite a lot of northern blocking. That's never normally a very good sign in the summer. Yeah, got quite a bit of blocking up there. That could accelerate potentially the melt season. It'll be interesting quite how that goes on. I mean, the Arctic melt season. We move through into Sunday, and again, we've got this ridge very close to the south, just keeping the south a little bit more protected. North and west and south. This deep trough of low pressure is stalling a bit in the Atlantic. As we go through to the start of next week, that stalling system, it's a very deep low pressure, 980 millibars, and usually deep for a time of year, but that stalling system does very temporarily allow the winds to swing into the south. So you'll notice the orange and red colours appearing there down to the south of the country. Hotter air coming out of Spain into France again. It doesn't last very long because this low pressure, despite the fact it has stalled in Central Atlantic, is still spinning weather fronts into the country. So they'll be moving through and cutting off that warmer air. But just for a time, around Monday, Tuesday, I think the winds could go into the south and bring some hotter conditions into the south temporarily. There's the upper air temperatures indicating that quite warm areas across the country, even some warmth getting up towards Scotland very briefly. And quite hot air down in the southeast, 50 Celsius ice firm, is there at 6 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. But it's very quickly swept away as we go through into the middle of next week. The winds are going back into the west, pushing any warmth off into the continent. And this is how we end up on day 10, which is Thursday the 6th of August. Again, a bit of a north-south split. Ridge down to the south, southeast, low pressure up to the north and the northwest. So most of the settled conditions will be in the northwest. The most settled conditions will be in the south and the southeast. The east side of the earth is very similar with this, although it doesn't bring up that southerly flow. Here we are for Saturday. Got this low pressure up to the northwest of Scotland. So showers, long spells of rain up there. Probably mostly dry down in the south. Keep those sort of conditions going into Sunday as well. Rain in the north and west, so that could be quite heavy with this low pressure here. That's the stalling low that the GFS shows stalling in the middle of the Atlantic. The east end of the earth runs that into the north and west of the country, so that stops us pulling up that southerly wind early next week. The southeast is close to this ridge though, so it could be drier and a bit warmer there. Moving through to the start of next week, it's sort of a north-south split, ridge close to the south, low pressure up to the north. Notice the winds aren't swinging into the south here as they do with the GFS, so lower temperature potential early next week. And through to Tuesday, we actually bring a trough through the country. That could bring some quite wet weather. And then ridge builds across the country as we go through into Thursday, the 6th of August, day 10. We've got a ridge building there. We've been relatively cool air though, so it does probably settle down a bit, but I think it'll still be generally quite cool. So overall, it's sort of this pattern, this idea that it's staying a bit mixed into August. I don't think it'll be as bad as it is now, as it has been through the last week of July, or it will be through the last week of July. We should lose potential bursts of rain, and these very, very cool daytime temperatures. I think temperatures will lift back up at least to average, maybe going quite warm if we get winds into the south. Around Monday, Tuesday next week. But still a bit mixed. Most of the setting conditions will be in the northwest, driest weather in the south and the southeast. But certainly an improvement compared to what we're having at the moment. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.